Hey, Divi Nation, thanks for dropping by our documentation to learn all about the Divi call to action module. Few things are more important on a website than the calls to action, which are, of course, the most important actions you want your site visitors to take. And we've created a module that allows you to create those call to actions in a particularly compelling way. We are going to show you in this video how to add content to that module and, of course, how to style it using Divi's built-in design settings. Check it out.
In this video, I'm going to give you a brief overview of Divi's call to action module. We all know that it's important to give your visitors a clear call to action on your website, especially when you're trying to get them to purchase something or to contact you for a quote. Having a great call to action is definitely a step in the right direction to getting the clicks that you need. And also the module itself here is a simple combination of a title, a body text, and a button. But when you combine those elements together and you use all the design options available within the editor, you really do have the capabilities of creating an outstanding looking call to action in just a few minutes. Right now, I'm on a mock product page here, and you can see that I have a call to action, and it simply says, try our product today for free, which is a nice clear call to action that's important, a nice bold big text here, along with some mock text underneath, maybe to add further clarification to the call, and then a nice bright pink button here that matches the color scheme of your website. So it's a good looking call to action. It's a pretty standard one, but it's also a very powerful one, and it stands out, and that's what you want. So let's go ahead and jump into the visual builder, and let's see how we can build this simply using the call to action module. All right, so now that I'm in my visual builder, I'm going to go ahead and hover over my call to action module. And instead of going through the settings now, I'm going to go ahead and delete it, and we're going to build it together as we go through some of the options available to you. First, I'm going to go ahead and add a new module. I'm going to search for my call to action module, select it. It brings up my call to action settings. And you can see that I have my content design and advanced tabs ready for me. But I'm going to look at the content tab first. And the first thing I see is a title. This is where I add my title of my call to action, which was, the bigger headline text above the button. And then there's the button text. So let's start by adding our try our product today for free. Now, if you can see in the preview here that the color being used is the default that I have set in my theme customizer. We're going to customize it to actually fit the overall design of the site a little bit later. In my button text here, I'm going to enter start now. And it hasn't shown up yet because I haven't added a link to my button. In the content, I'm just going to actually pull in some mock content here. I'm going to copy this one over so we have something to work with there. And for now, I'm just going to enter that so I can have a URL in there, so now my button shows up. But you would want to put the URL of wherever you want to send them when they click on your call to action. Here I can choose to open it up in a new window. Right now it's set to the same window, but maybe I want to open it up in a new tab. The background here, I'm going to go ahead and change the background. In fact, instead of adding a different background, I'm going to go ahead and disable the background color feature. And now you can't see the text here, but it is there because it's white over white. But we'll fix that in a little bit in our design tab. So let's go over there to our design tab. And in the text section here, I can choose to switch my text color from light to dark. There it is. I can also change the orientation if I wanted to, make it left aligned or right aligned. But if you go to the header text section here, you can also change the header fonts. This section up here is considered the header, the title. I'm going to go ahead and give my header the Playfair display font. And I'm going to give it the font size 62. And something you should definitely do is customize how this font size will size on tablet and smartphone. By default, it will shrink down, I think, to, what is that, 26? But you can make it a little easier to read. For instance, you could change this to maybe a 32 on tablet. And on smartphone, just keep it at 32 as well. Something to always want to keep that in mind as you're changing the text and the font sizes. Next, I'm going to go to my body text. And I'm going to change the font to Source Sans. Source Sans Pro. And let's go ahead and give my font size and make it 24 pixels. It's coming together nicely there. I could also change the color if I wanted to, make it a lighter gray or something. But let's continue on. Let's go ahead and change the line height here. I'm going to make it a 1.3. Actually, the more I think about it, let's go ahead and change that that text color there to a lighter gray. I think that looks better. Now we're going to go ahead and customize our button. But before we do that, you could add a border if you would like. Right now, the way I'm using it, I don't think it would look good. But if you wanted to, let's go ahead and change the color here so you can get an idea of what maybe a button border, a border would look like around my call to action. I would have to come in there and give it some more padding, but you get the idea. I'm going to disable it for now. Let's go into our button customizations. Of course, you would need to select this Use Custom Styles for Button if you are going to want to change the style of the default here. I could also change the button alignment, but I want to keep it centered. Let's go ahead and toggle this on to make some customizations. And you'll have all of the normal options available when customizing a button. One thing I want to do is increase the text size. Actually, I'm going to decrease it. Let's decrease it to about 16. Yeah. And then let's make my button text color white. Now that's going to make it disappear over here, but we're going to add a background color to it in a second. The background color, let's go ahead and I'm going to pull in my color, this nice pink color to match my site here. There it is. Now I'm going to add a button border color. The button border color is going to be the same color as this pink here. Now with that button border, I can see that little border radius outlining my button there, which looks nice. Actually going to increase that radius a bit. I'm going to give my button border radius, let's go ahead and make it, I don't know, 27. That way it's nice and rounded on the ends. Let's increase the letter spacing of my button. about 3 pixels. There you go. I kind of like the way it looks whenever you add letter spacing to text that is in all uppercase. It adds a nice effect, I think. For my button font, I'm going to change it to Source Sans Pro to match my page. And let's make it bold. I could change the icon that shows up on hover for my button if I'd like here. I'm going to leave it as its default for now. I could also change the button icon color, of course. And the button icon placement is to the right. You can change that here. Let's go ahead and go to the hover background color. And it's always good to kind of change it up a little bit so that the user knows that the button is actually being hovered upon and it is clickable. So if I paste in my pink color here, and I could go ahead and make it a tad bit darker or lighter, depending on what I wanted, what effect I wanted. If I make it a tad bit darker, when I hover over it, changes the color a little. See what it looks like a little bit lighter. All right. I think I like darker better, so I'm going to keep it that. And let's continue on. I actually want to match my button hover border color here with whatever I have set for my hover background so that they match. So that way when I hover over it, yeah, you don't see the border. It all matches. Okay, let's continue on. The last thing is to make sure my button hover letter spacing matches the letter spacing of the button in its normal state. So that way it doesn't change there. All right. Some other options include sizing of the module itself. If I wanted to change the sizing of the module, I could do that here. The spacing, it looks like I do need some more spacing, maybe at the top and the bottom. So I can come here to my padding and add 50 pixels here and 50 pixels on the bottom. Actually, I want to change that to maybe 30. That looks good. And of course, I could add an animation style if I like. Maybe I want to fade it in to make that call to action pop a little bit more, or maybe bounce if I want to be a little bit more forward. And fold in. I like the flip a little bit better there, or even the zoom. In the Advanced tab, you can go ahead and customize this using custom CSS if you like. You can even add your own unique CSS IDs and classes and target it from an external style sheet. You can also add inline custom CSS to target any of the elements within the module here, like the title, if you just wanted to make a change on the title or the button or the description section there. And of course, if you would like to add a button relationship option to your button, you can do that here. And the visibility can also be changed, disabling on phone, tablet, and desktop to adjust it if you want to hide it on certain devices. And go ahead and save it out. And I'll save my page. Let's go ahead and view it on a different browser. And let's see. As I scroll down the page, there it is. And there's your overview of the call to action module.